In this video, we'll explain to you about osmosis and we will do an experiment that will allow us to demonstrate the process. What is osmosis? It is a process in which fluids, such as water, diffuse in favor of a concentration gradient. That is, water diffuses from the solution of lower or more dilute concentration to the solution of higher concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. This in order to balance the concentrations on both sides of the membrane. It is a physical phenomenon that is generated spontaneously and without energy expenditure. In this process, the liquids tends to cross the semi-permeable membrane, which has pores of molecular dimension that do not allow the passage of solute molecules but of the solvent.
Osmosis is a special kind of diffusion, and diffusion occurs when some substance passes into or out of a cell and move about within cells down a concentration gradient. So osmosis involves the net movement of water through a selective permeable membrane from a region of higher concentration of water to a region of lower concentration. Water molecules pass freely in both directions, but as in all types of diffusion, net movement is from the region where the water molecules are more concentrated to a region where they are less concentrated.
The ingredients we need to experiment are 3 eggs, some vinegar, a corn syrup, and food coloring. And equipment include a glass and a spoon.
The first part of the project, we need a recipient, vinegar, and an egg. What we're going to do is to put the egg into the recipient, then add the vinegar, and you have to wait 24 hours to see the results. During these 24 hours, the vinegar acts as an acid that dissolves the carbonate and calcium that is in the eggshell. During this reaction, the vinegar starts to make bubbles around the egg, and these bubbles go on top of the vinegar and creates carbon dioxide. And this is the result.
What happened in this first part? The shell of the egg that we used in the experiment is made by calcium carbonate, that is a chemical compound that also is made by carbon, calcium, and oxygen, in contrast with the vinegar that is made from acetic acid, that is a compound that produces a great reaction when we mix with baking soda. In this case, we were using calcium carbonate, which also produces a reaction, but not as extreme. We saw some bubbles when we dip the egg into the vinegar that are carbon dioxide. When the egg has been immersed in the vinegar for the time, it has reacted with the shell of the egg, dissolving it by the process of osmosis. The water from the vinegar has passed through the elastic membrane into the egg. This will cause the egg to move slightly, causing the egg to harden. After and finally, after the chemical reaction that has taken place, the egg now is elastic. This is because now it has a semi-permeable membrane.
Once we have the egg removed from the vinegar, we're going to start the second stage of this experiment. For this, we're going to need maple syrup, a glass, an old spoon, and the egg. The steps are put the egg in the glass, then grab the maple syrup and pour it all the way until you see it's over the top of the egg. Then you're going to grab the spoon and bend it like this, and then place it like that over the egg. We do this because the egg will try to naturally go up, but the spoon is not going to let that happen. We need to let the egg rest like this under the maple syrup for 24 to 48 hours. Once the period of time has passed, then we need to pour the maple syrup out of the glass and grab the egg with our hands. And this is how it looks after the final step of the second stage of the experiment.
The egg in syrup presented decrease in size. This is because of the fusion. It happened when the molecule moved from the high concentration to one low concentration to satisfy the equilibrium. The egg water had a higher concentration than the syrup water. For this reason, the egg was much more in a hypertonic solution like syrup. A hypertonic solution is one that has a lower concentration of solute in the external environment in relation to internal environment.
For the next step of the experiment, we need the shriveled egg from the previous step and a glass of colored water. It consists of placing the egg into the glass with colored water and letting it rest for 24 hours. After time passed, it was necessary to remove the egg from the glass and rinse it. And as you can see, the result was that the egg grew, expanded, and changed its color to purple, which was the color of water. And this happened because the water worked as a hypotonic solution and passed through the semi-permeable membrane of the egg.
In the experiment number 3 with colored water, there are many water molecules, but nothing else outside in the eggs. But inside the eggs, there are almost no water molecules and very few proteins, electrolytes, and sugar molecules. So that's once again the water moves through the membrane into the eggs, make it proportion of water to other molecules the same, which in the case make the eggs melt the process of all water from one side to the other through our membrane to create different stages of the eggs is known as osmosis.
Conclusions. The egg expands inside in the vinegar solution due to the fact that in order to reach balance, the water molecules of the vinegar pass through the semi-permeable membrane of the egg. In the case of the hypertonic solution, there were more solutes in the corn syrup than there were in the egg. Therefore, the water flew out of the egg and into the corn syrup, and as a result, the egg shriveled up in the water with colorant. Once again, the water molecules enter the egg, it swells, and the balance occurs. This movement of water across a semi-permeable membrane from a less concentrated solution to a more concentrated solution is called osmosis. Therefore, the changes on the side of the egg are effects from the osmosis processes.